If you are a devoted fan of Emmerdale or Coronation Street, or both, then you need to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay very close attention, because next week your carefully planned soap-watching routine is about to be completely disrupted. ITV is making schedule changes to both of Britain's most beloved soap operas, and if you are not prepared for it, you could find yourself sitting down at the wrong time, missing episodes you have been waiting weeks to see, or completely losing track of storylines that are right at their most dramatic and compelling peak. This is not a minor adjustment. This is the kind of scheduling shake-up that catches millions of viewers off guard every single time it happens, and we are here to make sure that you are not one of them. So stay right where you are, because by the end of this video you are going to know exactly what is changing, exactly when it is changing, and exactly what you need to do to make sure you do not miss a single moment of the drama that is coming. Schedule changes to Emmerdale and Coronation Street are one of those topics that sounds straightforward on the surface, but carries enormous practical significance for the millions of people across the United Kingdom and beyond who organise meaningful parts of their weekly routine around these two shows. We are not exaggerating when we say millions. Coronation Street and Emmerdale are two of the most watched programmes on British television, shows with audiences that span generations and that have been woven into the fabric of daily life for families up and down the country for decades. When ITV moves these shows around, it genuinely affects people, and the reaction is always immediate and always passionate. The reasons for schedule changes vary, and we will get into the specifics of what is driving next week's alterations shortly. But whether the changes are driven by major sporting events, royal occasions, political programming, or other broadcasting priorities, the effect on soap fans is always the same mixture of mild frustration, genuine concern about missing content, and the urgent need to find out exactly what is happening and when. That is exactly what this video is here to address. Beyond the practical information, though, there is also something genuinely interesting about what schedule changes reveal about the place these two shows occupy in British broadcasting. The fact that millions of people need to be informed about a shift in airtime speaks to the extraordinary loyalty and dedication of these shows' audiences, an audience that plans around their favourite programmes in a way that is increasingly rare in an era of streaming and on-demand viewing. Coronation Street and Emmerdale still command that kind of appointment television loyalty, and that is remarkable. In this video we are going to cover everything you need to know about next week's schedule changes, give you the full context for why they are happening, look at how fans have reacted, think about what this means for the ongoing storylines in both shows, and make sure you have all the information you need to stay on top of your soap watching without missing anything important. Let us get into it. Fully appreciate the significance of schedule changes to Emmerdale and Coronation Street. It helps to understand just how deeply embedded these two programmes are in the landscape of British broadcasting and British cultural life. Coronation Street first aired on the 9th of December 1960, making it not just Britain's longest-running soap opera, but one of the longest-running television dramas anywhere in the world. Think about that for a moment. Coronation Street has been on British television screens continuously for more than 60 years, through the entire history of colour television, through the advent of satellite and cable, through the digital revolution, through the rise of streaming platforms, and through every social, political, and cultural upheaval that Britain has experienced in that time. It has outlasted governments, technologies, fashions, and trends, and it continues to attract audiences that most new television productions could only dream of. The show airs multiple times a week on ITV, typically 3 evenings, and its scheduling is one of the most carefully managed and closely watched elements of the ITV broadcast schedule. Moving Coronation Street is not something that happens lightly, because its audience expects it to be where it has always been, and any deviation from that expectation needs to be clearly communicated to avoid the inevitable surge of confusion and complaint that follows when viewers sit down to watch their show and find something else entirely in its place. Emmerdale has a similarly extraordinary history, though its origins and evolution have followed a different path. Launched in 1972 as Emmerdale Farm, a drama rooted in the agricultural community of the Yorkshire Dales, the show has transformed dramatically over the decades from its relatively gentle rural beginnings into one of British television's most ambitious and dramatically adventurous soap operas. It has tackled some of the most challenging and socially significant storylines in soap opera history, and it has built an audience of millions that is as loyal and engaged as any in British broadcasting. Like Coronation Street, Emmerdale airs multiple times a week on ITV, and its scheduling is similarly fixed in the minds of its regular viewers. The show has its place in the weekly television schedule, and that place feels permanent and reliable to the millions of people who tune in regularly. When that reliability is disrupted, even temporarily and for entirely understandable reasons, the reaction from the fanbase is always swift and always vocal. Both shows share a broadcaster in ITV, which means that when ITV faces scheduling pressures from other programming commitments, both Coronation Street and Emmerdale can be affected simultaneously, which is exactly what is happening next week. ITV manages an extraordinarily complex broadcasting schedule that includes news programming, major sporting events, reality television, drama series, entertainment shows, and political coverage, and occasionally the demands of one area of that schedule create pressures that require adjustments elsewhere. The history of scheduling changes for both shows is a long one, and it follows recognizable patterns. Major sporting tournaments, particularly football competitions involving England and other home nations, have historically been one of the most common reasons for soap. Scheduling adjustments, grand national coverage, royal occasions, major news events, and the annual spectacle of programs like the National Television Awards have also been regular causes of temporary schedule changes over the years. Each time these changes happen, the pattern of audience reaction is remarkably consistent. There is an initial wave of surprise and mild indignation from viewers who have not seen the announcement in advance. There is a rush to find out exactly what the new schedule looks like and where episodes have been moved to. There are jokes and affectionate complaints about the reliability of British soap scheduling. And then, once the information is clearly understood and widely shared, there is a settling, a collective adjustment as millions of viewers update their plans and their recording settings accordingly. This pattern has become somewhat more complicated in the streaming era because a significant proportion of the soap audience now watches on ITVX, ITV's streaming platform, rather than on linear television. For these viewers, schedule changes matter less in terms of when they can watch, since they can access episodes on demand, but they still matter in terms of the conversation around the shows, the social experience of watching something at the same time as the rest of the audience, and the way that spoilers and reactions spread through fan communities. Even in a world of on-demand viewing, there is still something powerful about the shared experience of appointment television, and schedule changes disrupt that shared experience in ways that matter to people even if they have other ways of accessing the content. So what exactly is happening to the schedules of Emmerdale and Coronation Street next week, and what is driving these changes? Next week sees ITV making adjustments to the broadcast times of both shows on multiple days, changes that will affect viewers who rely on linear television, as well as those who plan their viewing around the standard schedule. The changes are being driven by other programming commitments on the ITV schedule, which means that both soap operas will be moving from their usual slots on certain evenings, with some episodes airing earlier or later than normal, and some days seeing adjusted episode lengths or combined programming arrangements. For Coronation Street viewers, the changes mean that the show will not be in its usual position on at least one evening next week, with the episode displaced to accommodate other content on the ITV schedule. This is the kind of change that affects the millions of viewers who have the show set as a series link on their recording devices, because depending on how those devices are programmed, they may or may not automatically update to capture the episode in its new slot. Anyone recording Coronation Street on a standard series link is strongly advised to check their recordings for next week and manually set any episodes that might have been displaced by the schedule change. The situation is similar for Emmerdale, where the scheduling adjustments next week will also move certain episodes from their standard broadcast positions. Again, the practical implication for viewers recording the show is the same. Check your series links, verify that your device has correctly updated to capture episodes in their new slots, and if in any doubt, set a manual recording to make sure you do not miss anything. Both shows will also be available on ITVX, ITV's streaming platform, where episodes are typically made available shortly after their linear broadcast. For viewers who use ITVX regularly, the schedule changes are less of a practical problem in terms of access, but it is still worth being aware of when episodes are airing, so that you can manage your own viewing timeline and avoid having storylines spoiled by fan discussion before you have had the chance to watch. The specific reason for next week's schedule changes is linked to other significant programming on ITV that requires prime-time slots. ITV regularly faces this kind of scheduling challenge, particularly during periods when major sporting events, reality television finales, or other high-profile programming commitments create pressure on the schedule. The broadcaster works hard to minimize disruption to its soap audiences, but there are inevitably occasions when the mathematics of scheduling simply requires that something has to move, and in those situations, the soaps are among the programs most likely to be affected because of their flexibility as daily or near-daily shows. It is worth noting that when ITV does make schedule changes to Emmerdale and Coronation Street, the episodes themselves are not cut or shortened. The full complement of episodes for the week is still broadcast. What changes is simply when, and in some cases, in what order they air. For viewers who are deeply invested in ongoing storylines, knowing this is reassuring, because it means that the narrative content they are following is not being reduced, merely rearranged in its broadcast timing. Both shows are currently at points in their ongoing storylines where timing matters enormously. Coronation Street has several major narrative threads running simultaneously that are building towards significant developments, and the audience following these stories will be particularly eager not to miss any episodes during this period. Similarly, Emmerdale is in the middle of some of its most dramatic and emotionally charged storytelling in recent memory, with multiple major characters at crucial junctures in their journeys. The last thing a devoted viewer of either show wants right now is to discover they have missed a crucial episode because of a schedule change they were not aware of. The practical advice for viewers is clear and worth stating directly. Check the ITV website or app for the confirmed broadcast times of both shows for next week. Update any series link recordings on your television or recording device to reflect the new schedule. If your device does not automatically update recording times when a show moves slots, set manual recordings for the new times to ensure you capture everything. And if all else fails, remember that ITVX provides a reliable way to catch up on any episodes you might have missed, with content available on demand shortly after its linear broadcast.